Friendship supreme. Friendship supreme. Finding the geek within.
What's up, everybody? My name is Michael.
My name is Steve.
Welcome to an episode of Friendship.
Supreme.
We're the podcast that dares to ask, have you ever been brought onto a documentary and not told what that documentary is about just to be bamboozled?
That's one of the wildest parts. Well, it's not the wildest part, but like that's a wild part of this to me is that you would just bring people on and not give them a heads up.
Multiple people were brought
I
into
guess it's
this and not told.
I guess that's the way to get it done, though. Like,
That you sure did get your reactions, I guess.
we're talking about the documentary Quiet on Set, and it's a lot. So I don't necessarily want to break down the documentary
No,
with
we
you
don't need to.
because, well, and I feel like everyone has, right?
Yeah.
But I definitely am looking for maybe some of your opinions and what you think because I have thoughts.
Okay.
And
I have thoughts.
as scary as this was, I don't know that this would have been the reason why I wouldn't have, like, maybe myself have pursued child actor. I don't know if that Disney dream ever lived in your head once.
Yeah. I was on Double Dare once. I wasn't on Double Dare. I was in the audience, and in the middle when they did commercial breaks, I got to go up and pick a locker. You remember when they got to pick prizes out of the lockers?
Yeah.
I got to pick a locker. Got a t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
Yo. I don't think it ever aired on TV though, so.
Still have it?
No, I wish. It was a
Should
sick,
be hanging up behind
It was
you.
a sick Double Dare.
Did you get
shirt.
slimed?
I didn't get slimed. I watched a kid get slimed. Yeah, it was dope. As a child, I was real pumped about Double Dare.
So we're both on TikTok. I had already had maybe a stronger opinion about Dan Snyder. I wasn't like I'm evenly keeled about this man going into this.
Correct.
About as bad as I had heard and imagined.
It was previously already discussed that this man was quite into feet. And at that point, when someone brought to my attention how feet-centric Nickelodeon became, it was a lot for me. And it all just kind of washed over me like, oh, right, this is a lot.
Also, him not being popular in high school and the girls kind of not giving him attention, I was like, that is like the recipe for what he turned into.
Do you remember a movie called Sin City?
Yes.
You remember a little orange goblin looking?
Yes.
That's if we looked like our personalities, that's what I think Dan would look like.
That's his inner body.
That's his, yeah.
Also, being a little late of talking about this, one, I wanted it all to be over.
Yes.
I didn't want to like talk about it a little bit and then something else happened and I'd be like, well, I wasn't asked for saying that thing. Two, we got to watch a lot of dust settle.
We did.
A lot of people respond to certain things. Dan Snyder has an interview
with
on his
dude
YouTube channel
from iCarly, right? I think he was in iCarly.
Another child actor. Yeah, I don't know what show he's from.
He was an adult when he was in the show with him. He was like he worked at a shop. I actually enjoyed the iCarly show. I was a little older than like the group that it was geared towards, I think, at the time. I don't remember, but like I thought it was an enjoyable show.
It was a cute show. It was a peak of internet show, and it all lined up. Everyone loves Sam.
Yeah, Jeanette McCurdy was awesome. Enjoyed her a lot,
and everything she unfortunately had to go through, and then
wild.
The interview, he posted on his YouTube channel, so he set it up and he posted it.
Right.
But he's talking in the interview as if someone invited him on.
Yeah.
It's very weird, and I don't know if he ever really apologizes. He definitely feels like he doubles down on some of the shit that they were talking about.
He did a very
It's one of those,
blanketed apology of like, if I made anybody feel this way, I'm sorry, which is
which
like a
is just the
super
shittiest way to go
gaslighting.
about it.
Yeah. No, like
Um,
the guy that does the interview for him, like is asking the question,
mhm.
said that he got reached out to and asked to do this, and then he was like, it was weird because then I felt like Dan was acting like I was wanting to interview him.
Like, thanks for having me on. Like, what? No,
It's
you
like
asked for this.
with Carlson Tucker when he has his own show on YouTube and he went to Tucker Carlson, thank you. And he went to Russia and he was like, "Oh my god, I've never seen this stuff before, and you
Subway?
guys asked me to come here. This is crazy." Yeah, he's a lot. I just wanted to make fun of Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
He
Fuck
he
him.
he was
Oh my God.
marveled by the fact that they had a system where you put a I think it was in Russia, I think it's rubles. I don't know, but
Yeah, we'll say,
you put a coin into the grocery cart and it lets you pull it out, and then if you return the grocery cart, you get your coin back. He was mind blown, which tells you he's never shopped at Aldi before, because that's the thing. We have that.
Seven's one for Aldi. They have Pokemon cards sometimes.
They do sometimes. They have some. Anyway, that's not what this is about. I would much rather this episode be about Aldi.
That's next week's. Yeah, man. I learned a lot. I felt a lot. There were tough parts to watch in this. I'm she I guess she eventually did the right thing at the end. I was really upset with email girl's mom. She felt very so they
Oh
go
yeah,
and she's like an
yeah.
extra in the show.
That she
Yeah.
didn't, because she didn't want to drag her daughter through it, and
What she said was, how what would they think of me for letting her email
oh
this
yeah, that
guy?
is a real
And I'm
shitty way
like,
to. I get it, because
that's what we took out of this?
like I guess that is a thought that might run through your head, but like that shouldn't be the factor in why you don't, prevent it
That would
from happening to everybody else.
Yeah, that would be my thought once we were at the police station.
Right.
Because I guess I think to myself, how many girls could you have saved had you just spoken up?
Yeah, considering that dude had like fucking Ziploc bags of mementos.
7-year-old girl. Yeah. That's the one that stuck with me.
Yeah. So, so the meat and potatoes is that there were three total sexual predators that worked within the Nickelodeon era with Dan Schneider.
Remind me if I'm wrong. Only one had a previous arrest for it.
I think so. I
The
don't.
one with the glasses.
Yeah, I think so. Well, and
then Peck, which is the one that they really focus on even more, was guilty, and then
they got
still got
hired
a dub?
on by Disney to also do it. The same thing. Yeah. Because
That's-
there's a loophole that as long as parents are around, then like it's okay to have a sexual predator there, which is fucking mind numbing. Like, I'm gonna need everybody to let me know the moment I walk in. Hey, he's a sexual predator. Cool. I'm leaving now. Thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah, it should have a shirt that you wear.
Oh
that
yeah,
says,
just a scarlet letter that bitch.
Mhm.
But it has to like.
Don't leave your kid with me.
I'm gonna say the stipulation of like, it has to be something had to have, like, it has to be a heinous crime. It can't be like peeing in a park at night, like, because that is technically.
Right.
I just want to put it out there that can technically. I need it to be something heinous, and then we just burn a big old.
Apparently,
we need to burn a big old fucking pedo on their forehead, and then let them go about their life. That's fine.
I'm okay with that just being the court sentence.
Yeah.
Just in there.
Yeah.
and then everyone knows.
Do like a
Oh,
year, but a couple years, lots of years,
oh yeah,
or
that's,
death. I don't
yeah,
care.
or all the years, yeah, no, all the
Just
years.
death is fine.
I So another thing to me, and I guess my brain had just tried to find a way to make it work, right? I had never considered that someone who felt that way about children was like super okay and accepting of it.
It
I always
was
assumed in
rough.
my heart that it was like, I know that this is sick and I know that I shouldn't and I have these urges and I can't get my brain to stop it and I know that I don't want to do this. Not the guy writing the diary talking about I'm full blown and
I love
yeah,
it,
I'm all about it.
and I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Um.
36. It had never crossed my mind that someone was like just like this is me. This is who I
So
am.
two things to that. South Park makes fun of the Nambla. If you remember, a long time ago, it was
Mhm.
old school South Park episode.
Yeah.
Um, and like that is a real thing, that there is an organization that is like, it's okay to be a pedo as long as like there's consent on both ends. Secondly,
I do remember that.
there is a point, and there was a point in time, and the effort could still be existing, but there is a, I don't remember what the term is 'cause we gave it a new term, because pedo is
It's negative.
right, like it's, we know what
It's
we
got
have,
stigma to it.
it kind of makes rage inside. um that they were trying to become a part of the LGBTQ plus organization. Like they wanted to be involved, and like they wanted to be a part of that, as I don't remember what the name is for it, what they called it. And immediately they were like, fuck no, like that's wrong. All these things are okay and love is love. That's not. And so there was a point in time where there was a real run of like extreme right side saying like, oh, look what they're doing. Like the LGBT is allowing this organization to kind of infiltrate. And so then like when you saw the pride flag, they're like, that's what these colors mean. And it's not, but like there definitely is a version of the pride flag that has whatever the color scheme is for all age love. And like, yeah, there are people, there are essentially, yes, that exists, that there are so many people out, not so many, there are a group of people out there that are trying to justify the pedophilia because it's love
Here's the thing. Let's put them all on an island,
and
and
kill
they
them.
can. Okay, yeah.
I'm not for the death penalty, and in fact I just watched a really interesting piece by John Oliver, because he's always interesting to me,
Mm-hmm.
about the death penalty and how it's inhumane. And I just like, I'm on board and I understand that, except for
There's certain crimes.
that crime alone, kill him.
Mm, I put grape on there.
Grape on there as well, that's fine, kill him. Yeah, kill him. I don't know, it's tough. I just,
Yeah.
to try to
I
justify it in any way is fucking
I
mind
have
numbing.
I have a hard time accepting age gaps with adults.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I sent you an actor who was like, oh, my wife now. She's 5 years older than my daughter. We weren't looking for it, but we found each other, and now we have two beautiful kids. It was a very sweet and cute answer. However, when he was 25, she was being born, and that's wild to me. I don't get me wrong. I can look at a 19, 20-year-old girl and go, she's very beautiful. She's got a lot of great qualities. Look at her. She's amazing. However, I don't think at my 36 of age that I could date somebody under 30. And that's even extending my own rule that I made, which was 5 years. In my brain, my my age only works 5 years this way or 5 years this way. And even then, that gets skippy because I couldn't have that rule at 15.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I couldn't date someone 20 and I couldn't date someone 10. So it's evolved over time, obviously. I feel like no, nope, that didn't work either. Because I was gonna say I feel like maybe if you go to my school, it's cool, but also some schools have freshmen and seniors, and I was, so brag, a freshman that dated a senior, and I knew girls that had dated seniors, and I'm like, it's not cool because especially that guy. That guy's looking for something for sure, and she may or may not be ready for that. And all that going on to say, if that is hard to wrap my brain around, this is so hard for me to understand how people were like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." I'm just
Yeah.
gonna give it a whirl.
Yeah.
And the way they go about it, I think that's my problem too. It's like
It's
if you
predatory.
really thought it was cool, yeah.
It's all predatory. That's the thing. You're taking advantage of
And it's wrong to
situations
take
and
advantage of
people
anybody
that
for anything, right?
it's not just a lot.
I Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, you had like that part of it, the documentary, but the other part was the Dan Schneider part. And I really needed Dan Schneider to actually get in trouble.
Th- that was what. Yeah, no, I mean, he got fired and $3 million, Michael. What more did you want?
Yeah, he's living life happily. With
Yeah,
whatever the fuck his facial hair was, and Ozempic apparently, because he's lost significant amount of weight, and that's what it was. It's gonna be Ozempic or the surgery. Choose.
yeah. What's wild is I'm like, he's a piece of shit, and we've not even gotten into the kid thing.
No, we don't
Like,
even really touch the kid thing a whole lot. I don't like that sentence. We don't really even dive into the kid thing a whole lot. With him, other than the fact that he made some kid actors uncomfortable, and that there were children actors that alluded to the fact that there was something off about him around them.
well, can I just say? I mean, maybe your daughter with you there. No child's gonna sit on my lap. No, especially an employee child of mine would ever sit on my lap,
No.
and there wouldn't be picture after picture of it. And I think, he might not have physically done something to these kids, but writing scenes where they're in those certain scenarios, like, how is that any better? It was like it was funny to him to get these jokes past kids, and that you could only be talking to adults, right? Because we didn't get any of these jokes when we saw them happening.
No.
So it was only for the adults. And what adults are you trying to reach? Who are you trying to make contact with on the other side? I remember, so Victorious is one of the shows. I
Mm.
remember the scene that they showed where the principal, I guess, got on a table and got a thing of lotion and was like pumping it at her, and it was like spraying her down. And I remember because that show came out when we were a little bit older, and I was like, that is sketchy. That's a sketchy scene. That is questionable. Or the pickle man and the sliding a pickle through a
To Ray
door.
Romano? How did Ray Romano go down
To
with that?
Ray Romano.
How did Ray
I
Romano
think.
agree to that?
Well, here's the thing. I wonder what he knew about, right? Because if you look at the cuts of the scene,
I'm pretty sure I watched him grab it out of the hole of the door.
you did see a hand grab it
That's
out,
fair.
and then he just came up with a pickle. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if he's available for interviews, but
So Mark Summers is one that has vocally gone on a couple of podcasts. He might be on this podcast. If you listen to the end of the episode, you will find out. And was very
now
vocal.
we got our things in him.
He's very vocal about how he was not told what the documentary was about, and was asked about his time on Nickelodeon. And to him, in the 80s and 90s, Dan Schneider was a blip. Like he didn't exist as much as he did in the 2000s. And so to Mark Summers, he didn't see any of that and was like gushing about I loved Nickelodeon and we were so fun and like we really gave kids a place to feel safe and have all this great. And then they showed him a video of the Ariana Grande, her trying to give herself water while she's laying upside down on a bed in a outfit. I don't know what you would call that outfit, but and he looked at the screen, he looked at the interviewer and was like, did they actually like air this? And they're like, yeah. And they then kind of unveiled what this was going to be about. And he took his mic off and was like, I'm done, and walked out. And like all these people were getting ambushed with these interview questions. And it's tough because like you can't have me talk positive about this place and then be like, look how shitty they are. Gotcha.
Well, and then they were talking about the shit that Dan was posting on YouTube, which they had really no control over that part. So he was just doing whatever he wanted. Yeah, it's its own special shitty. To like nobody's questioning this guy, nobody's checking him. I feel like, and it won't be, but I feel like anywhere where a kid's on a show, which is just about all of them, there should be one person hired there from the state, impartial, to just make sure shit's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and he almost to a bragging point in his interview was like, multiple people looked at this and approved it. It went through several different groups and they all approved it. So if there was something wrong with the jokes I sent, then it's on them because they approved it.
that's what made it funny to him.
Right.
Because everyone knows what that person who's like, watch me get this past them.
Yeah, there's
Watch how funny
the
it'll be.
remember there's the animators that like they you find like the word sex in a cloud in a fucking nickel or in Lion King or what, like the weird shit like that exists, and for some reason it's like I got him. Yeah, but he just took it to a whole different level, and I really wish that the man would have gone to jail. But that's just me.
Yeah. And then I remember like watching, you don't think about it much, which is sad, but thinking back on looking at like Amanda Bynes, and she really had like a lot of talent and a lot of career ahead of her.
Yeah.
And then just didn't.
Yeah, no. And we don't get to hear from Amanda Bynes, but I would love to know her side of things because
I think she took my opinion. I think she took the NDA and the money. Because anytime she talks, she only talks in code.
Yeah.
She never is like I don't know if you ever saw, she sent out this message. It was via the internet. I don't know if it was Twitter. I don't know what it was. But every letter in it is lowercase as she's explaining whatever she's trying to say. I can't remember. And there's only certain letters capitalized. It's at the beginning of the words, it's in the middle of words, it's at the end of words, wherever she needs it to be. And the letters all spelled out. Dan did it.
Wow.
So it's like her, she wants to say,
yeah,
but maybe she can't say.
Well,
Lord knows she does. Unfortunately, she doesn't have the money to pay it back.
Yeah, and what I know is that she is in ruins. Well, I think she's trying to rebuild herself and stuff, but has just
Yeah.
yeah, it sucks, man. It's shitty people prosper and children suffer.
I wish that, like they were able to get together,
Yeah.
like all of them, right? But
Um.
um, and then poor Keenan, they're asking him about that shit, and he's got his own book out, and he's like, it's not, it wasn't while I was there, but at the same time, it's weird because it wasn't while he was there. But then he's like, Amanda was like a little sister, so maybe it like I think all that was his first show,
Yeah.
Dan's,
But
and
it
so
was the Amanda show is what like set his career off.
yeah,
Like that's what
I'm
started
saying
getting him
like
in the big projects and stuff.
maybe with all that he didn't get,
Yeah.
yeah, because it was his first show, so he didn't really have a run where nobody bothered him. But yeah, yeah, it's tough. Felt for fucking Drake's dad.
Yeah.
I felt for him bad to know. You know what I mean? It's one thing, and it hurts. It doesn't hurt any less. But it's one thing when it's like this came out of nowhere. I had no idea. But it's one thing to be like, look out for this man. This man is a bad man. Do not leave this man with my child. And I've heard Drake, again, because we're doing this so much later, I've heard that he said, hey, there's going, a lot of hate going my mom's way, understandably, the way it's told. And he's like, I want everyone to understand, I don't blame her. He was like, what Brian was doing and how he was manipulating everybody, I don't blame her at all.
Yeah.
Because
Here's the thing.
when I was watching it, I was ready to blame her.
Here's the thing. Like you never want to believe that there are monsters out there, right? Like you don't want to believe that there's
Yeah.
monsters out there.
I definitely think the worst of people sometimes, but I definitely don't see monster in
Right.
everybody.
Well, yeah, and like you don't want to think that your kid like you see videos and stories of things happening and you see like Amber alerts all the time. I get them. And like you don't want to think that like, oh, that could happen. But we were talking about off camera, like something happened and it's in our backyard. Like shit, like that's happening. Like
Yeah.
and it could be. And so it's tough because like you'd rather live in a world where like that can't happen to my kid, like that would never happen, but then it does, and it's like, well, I've seen a big trend that I'm kind of like I have jumped on this bandwagon that my child won't go to sleepovers. Like that's just not a thing. She could spend time with other kids, I'll hang out, like that's great, but like that's just not a thing.
And it sucks because like that was an experience,
Yeah.
like, and it's just not an experience that I can still feel comfortable with as when I did it.
Yeah.
I remember I went to one sleepover and could have died. Like just long story short, there was a fucking gun under the bed that they put us in, and one kid crawled underneath and was fucking around with it, and it went off. And luckily, it went off the right direction, and everybody was fine. But
It didn't have to go off in the right direction.
yeah, oh yeah. Anyway, the little small random tangent there, but yeah. I mean, it's yeah. Now that I think about it, I guess that would be why I wouldn't. I can host them. I can host a sleepover.
That is kind of the thing, is that a lot of people are saying like, I'm not gonna let my kid over. If you want to come to my house, I know it's safe. I
We're
also am
sleeping
okay.
over.
Right. I also understand that like people don't want their kid to stay over at my house. I'm fine with that. I respect that decision as a parent because I get it. I would never want to put my kid in a situation where that could happen, and we can only control the environment that we're in, and even then you can't really control it all. So it's
Yeah, there's no right answer.
don't have
There's no
kids.
right
If you
answer.
don't have kids, don't have them. Not like they're bad
And
to have, but like it's
I have to, I'm on guard all the time.
100%. There's never a time where I'm not thinking the worst of someone and thinking I gotta make sure that my kid's in the best situation possible because the world is horrible.
Miles said that somebody pushed him while he was in the restroom, and I had to start clarifying, like, was this another child that was in there? Like, what were you in the stalls? Why were two people in the stalls? Like,
I have
reconnaissance
had
immediately.
right. I have had I think it's every time we take her to the doctor now. Since she was probably about 4, that the doctor will sit there and have a 5 to 7 minute conversation about how no one should be looking at you or touching you at all unless your parents are like there and it is for a medical reason. Like they should not, and like it's wild, and like I appreciate that she's doing that because like that is a good thing to solidify. But like the fact that we're at a point where my daughter's doctor has to make sure that she iterates that like this is the only time this is okay.
Miles had one of those sweaters that
Mm-hmm.
when you push it down and push
Mm-hmm.
it up, the beads go a certain way. And then I had to have a conversation like, hey, nobody does this unless you want them to do it. Like, you can show them, but they can't just do it.
Yeah. Jameson's wears those shirts, and we're to a point now where it's like you shouldn't make those shirts for kids. I because it's
I mean, but who's the technology for then? Because it's not for
for
us.
pillows.
Fair. Nobody.
That's why I first saw them.
That me too. But also like fucking the worst pillows ever.
Well, terrible. No, it's not comfortable.
Like, what do you want to lay on that? So what do you do with it? I've got this brilliant idea. I've got nothing to put it on. Can we go? Can we put it on
Posters.
the sleeve at least?
Yeah,
Not on the
there you go.
chest?
There you go. I'm good with that. Yeah, because all the designs are always like right here, and so yeah,
It's a
like
struggle for him. It's like
she's told me that
right
like
here.
kids want to do the thing, and I'm like, yeah, like that's not okay if you don't want them to.
Well, here, we
Right.
do it now.
So she has it on her backpack now, and she allows them to do it on that instead. But it does, yeah. It's yeah. Anyway, that's sort of what this episode's about. Maybe I don't know.
Did you hear the whole thing about Raquel?
The girl that didn't get asked to come back on the interview. Yes, I did. So on the 5th
What?
episode, they bring everybody back. Well, they don't bring everybody back. They bring 2 people back to talk about some of the stuff that happened, and they didn't involve one of the other girls that was also in the interviews.
Well, but they used her story and like
Yeah,
her trauma,
yeah,
and like not her.
yeah. They didn't allow
That
her
seems
to
like a
come
really
back.
weird, shitty thing to do, especially if you knew that like this is like a key thing you want to talk about. You would think that you would ask her.
Well, not to mention, a giant chunk of the conversation was the lack of representation of um, uh, minorities, essentially, within Nickelodeon. And so they were talking to, I don't remember either of their names now, but 2 of the other characters or the other actors. And why would you not bring the only other black actress into this conversation when that's the conversation we're having?
Yeah.
It was all very calculated by the people that did the interview. It was very obvious that they wanted a very specific route to go with it, and they did not waver from that. They did,
Raquel was saying, she was like, of course, like it's typical Hollywood. You guys are no better. Like you got what you wanted out of
right.
me because you surprised me with this interview. You made me relive this trauma, and then you can get my honest opinion and sit down with me, and you choose not to do that.
Yeah, 100%. The whole point of the 5th episode was to help settle some of the debris that was dug up because of this whole documentary. Like, I don't think they intended on the 5th episode, and then the 4 episodes came out. Shit kind of went like viral, like everybody got really excited about this documentary and was talking about it, and then they're like, oh well, like maybe we should bring in some more and make sure we touch certain parts to like not seem like we're stifling the voice, but we still do, right? Like we still do stifle the voice. They brought another kid on that was a part of it, was a part of the all that cat, the second all that cast. Little white blonde kid that was kind of like the chunky kid.
Yeah.
They brought him on, and so then those three were talking and you know, crying and kumbayaing together. And and the fifth episode was fine. It was okay. I think some people got to talk. I think it was nice that we got to kind of you find out that the documentary is the reason that the guy ends up reconciling with his mother. If you remember the mom that was like, I kept commenting on things, and it got to a point where someone talked to him and they were like, you're not going to come back for the next season and he was like, I kind of felt like it was because of my mom. And from that point on, he kind of cut his mom out of his life. And because of this documentary, he got to kind of see it from her perspective and see what was going on, and realizing that, you know, this was more than just how he was feeling as a teenager.
Right.
And so it actually ended up bridging that relationship with his mom. So that, I mean, that was cool to get to kind of see the aftermath of the documentary.
It's also cool to see that, you know, Hollywood just is never going, or the court is never going to punish anybody in Hollywood for anything that they do.
Yeah.
And people are just going to get to, like, oh, and also, you know, just a list of actors that are dead to me.
Yeah, and some of them have gone back on their letters, but like the who was it? The guy from the two guys from Boy Meets World who have their own podcast. They painted the picture that it was very misrepresented to them, the situation, and that's why they were being asked to give letters of
oh man, some of them are like,
it's tough. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. We saw this in a different situation. There was something else that was like, I don't remember what it was, where people were writing letters for this person, and it was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you?
Was it Danny? What's his face?
Yeah.
Thank
you. Yeah, the 70s show guy. Thank you.
Masterson.
Danny Masterson, where people were like, oh, he would never do that. And it's like, fuck you guys. Like, what the fuck is happening? But they were saying, like, once they were in the courtroom and they saw Josh Drake Bell.
Yes.
Sorry. I did not ever watch that show.
It
was
not our show, yeah.
But they were saying
Carly.
that when they I know, weirdly. I think my brother started watching it, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. I watched this. But when they were in, they said that when they got to the court and saw him sitting on the other side, that they like immediately had regret and stuff, and they didn't know how to voice it and blah blah blah. So, like, everybody's come out now and said like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I didn't know what I was doing. But it is tough. It is
Alan Thicke, fucking Cyclops.
Yeah, what was the dude name?
James something. The guy from Saturday Night Live, he's fucking dead to me. And here's the thing. Like, I feel like I would write this letter. I would, let's say this is me and this guy's my friend. I would write that letter. Hey, this guy, friend, super cool, always have my back. And put my last sentence in my letter would say, but if this motherfucker's guilty, I take it all back and do everything within your power, everything you're supposed to do. Give it all to him.
Here's where I stand on it. I would write a letter of recommendation to get a job for 4 people in my life. That's it. Like, to get you out of crime, I think I'd write for maybe those same 4. I'm not like none of these people were best friends with this dude. This dude was a fucking like a hand on shows. Like he wasn't a
A
producer.
dialogue coach.
He was nothing.
He
This
was a
dude was
dialogue
this
coach.
dude was nobody's best friend. He was nobody's homie. He wasn't going to lunch with, he wasn't meeting mom. Like, who the fuck are you? Why are we writing like why are we just out here writing this shit? Like, oh, he worked on my show for 7 years and we're basically no, you're not. Do you know that? Do you know anything about this dude? About
I
his
think
home?
the two things I take away from this is watch your fucking kids, and not everybody's what they seem to be. I wish that it wasn't so much distrust in my life, but it is what it is.
Yeah. My whole life is just distrust at this point.
Yeah.
Man, it sucks. Fucking
Yeah.
hate it.
But you know what? I felt like if I said it to you, but I feel like if this guy is brave enough to talk about this, I, it's almost like I owe it to him to watch. I owe it to Drake Bell to watch this and watch this guy look at the camera and go, think of the worst thing that someone can do to somebody, and that's what was done to me. Like, it's tough. Jennifer cried in some of the parts, and I get
Yeah.
it because to stomach some of it is asking a lot.
It
But
is a lot.
but it's a story that needed to be told. I wish that it didn't turn out that the people telling it also were kind of shitty, but you know, one problem at a time. You know
One
what?
problem.
If lying's the worst thing in Hollywood, okay with it. let's tackle this one first. And we'll get to lying. We'll get to lying.
I'll leave it at this. It's wild to me that as far back as I can remember, it has always been a dangerous profession for children, where there is cutthroat predators in all kinds of ways, not just sexual, but money, drugs, power, and general for children in this industry. And it feels that we have done nothing to improve that.
Yeah.
I can
And
remember
that's
Drew Barrymore was the
not
one I always
tackling.
remember. That like
Yeah.
as growing up as a kid, I heard the stories of the things that happened to Drew Barrymore, and like the little girl that's in fucking ET, like how is that happening to this little girl? And we're just okay with it. And then we have the fucking Weinstein of the world. Like we have those people that exist and we do nothing to make it better, and it's nuts.
And that's not even tackling what happens to the women or the men. This is just tackling the children.
Yeah.
That should not be the price for fame.
No, I hate famous people for a lot of things, but I don't think that they should have to experience that. That's where I'm at. That's all I got for you.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
episode was a lot,
Yeah.
but I hope people listened, and I hope someone who's like, I'm not gonna watch it, but listened, kind of gets anything out of it. Maybe because nobody got Max, or some people have Max, but not everybody has Max.
My wife makes fun of me. I still keep the HBO app on my phone because every once in a while I'm like, I'm gonna watch something on HBO, and I click it, and it's like, hey, we're on the Max app, and I'm like, oh right, that's the app I have.
Yeah,
So I needed to
that's
remind
when
me.
you would uninstall it.
I needed it to remind me. But yeah, thanks for listening to us. I normally say, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I don't know. Maybe
Hopefully you got something out of this episode.
Hopefully you got something out of this episode.
Hit us up on our social medias,
Yeah.
and the quote at the end is just fucking take care of people like human beings. Like,
Please just be nice.
be a human to another human if given the opportunity.